Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, Qooligan, after a short hiatus from myself, traveling cross country to the East Coast, Florida. Here we are.
Short, you were gone for a week, man. I mean,
I was gone.
Maybe it felt like a blink in the eye to you, but I mean, for those of us who weren't driving across country and working for a living, an interminable distance and time.
That sounds like a Qooligan way of saying you missed me. Is that it?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Sure.
Wonderful.
I had actually a pair of Englishmen who filled in quite nicely for you.
I know.
Thank you very much. And
I listened on the road. Ben Jacobs and Nick Bresson. Yeah, they were fantastic.
Yeah,
they were
they
really
were great. Thank you to those two gentlemen for filling in.
Yeah, very, very good.
And I think I think we'll have Nick back again. I'd like to get Nick back on again. I just have to try to coordinate. He's a busy man as well. So
I think none busier than you, Qooligan. None busier than you with all of the editorial activity.
I'm not entirely convinced about that, but maybe that's your way of saying. Maybe that's your way of just complimenting me. So sure. I'll take it. We'll
see about that. Yeah. Anyway, Qooligan. Yeah, obviously, guys, I'm back. Welcome back. Well, I'm back. Obviously, Qooligan has not gone anywhere. Hooligan-soccer.com is where you can go and see all of the editorial mastery of the Qooligan and all of the writers and creators and partners that we have who have been putting so much effort and so much work into the site, which has been growing really well. Qooligan, it is the last day of the round of 32 today.
Yeah.
And it's so, I mean, there's quite a bit to catch up on. I know you've been covering it. I know, obviously, sort of while I was out, sort of England got an absolute scare against DR Congo. I know Belgium also got a bit of a fright. US comfortably got past Bosnia with a suspicious red card. Spain looked pretty comfortable against Austria. That Portugal-Croatia game yesterday was the snooze fest of a first half, but completely exploded into life into the second half, and particularly the last quarter. Did you watch that one? Were you able to get to that one, or were you?
My sound dropped out for a little bit. Repeat that last phrase of yours.
That snooze fest for Portugal-Croatia, except for the last quarter.
Yes.
And finally, then it exploded into life, and there was questionable VAR and refereeing calls. I have to confess, I did not stay awake for the Switzerland-Algeria game. That game did not really excite me.
And you didn't have to. That's not a disrespect to. I have actually a lot to say about that game, because I have a lot to say about that game. But it was not a great game. No, that's true. And I agree also with the Portugal-Croatia assessment. I believe that is the game in which that is when the spirit of the beautiful game died, in that game.
Wow. Yeah. Why? Okay, let's double click into that point then. When you say the spirit, was it just, I mean, what was it? Was it that last minute sort of VAR offside call for Croatia to equalize?
Yeah. And again, I can disassociate the correct call from the right call.
Yeah. The correct call from the right call. Okay, let's
get into that. We'll get into that.
Well, let's get into it.
We go right into that right now.
Let's separate the oil and the water there. How do you?
So the first thing that I think,
just for record, you are a referee. You're obviously at a very sort of a high amateur level.
At a high amateur level, I think is the best way to do it. Yes,
I think that's a fair way to say it. So you probably know the most here. Can I just give my opinion, and then you sort of you can
of course
pick it apart?
No, please lead us in. Yeah.
Croatia go 1-0 up. Portugal equalized with a wonderful header from was it Nunes, right? I think, was it Nunes or Neves? Ruben Neves?
No. They equalized on a penalty.
They equalized on a penalty
by Ronaldo.
And then Rafa Leao, beautiful cross in, amazing header, beautiful cross, beautiful header, 2-1 Portugal.
Gonzalo Ramos, yes.
Yeah. Croatia throw the kitchen sink at it, and they get 10 minutes of extra time. They're in like 9 minutes of extra time. And a Croatian player, forgive me which one it is, clips the ball in. It comes off the head of the Croatian player, or it just skims the back of the head of the Croatian player. Confirmed, because the ball has the chip in it, and you saw the sound thing. So it touched his head. Can't deny that. But from my perspective, it then came behind him, and then behind him was Renato Veiga, the Portuguese defender, sort of defensive midfielder defender. He has a big afro. He looked as though he put his head down, but it definitely touched his head. And then went on to the Croatian player, number 15, who was, by the lines, was offside. But my understanding is that because it touched Veiga on the last passage of play, it then brings the offside player onside because the Portuguese player was the last one to touch it, was my interpretation of the rules and my understanding. So for me, I was like, that was not offside. He got played onside by the fact that the ball touched him. And so in my opinion, I was like, that looks like a goal. So help me understand this and sort of dissect this and sort of make sense of this.
Sure. you actually got the ordering spot on. So your ordering of the events, because this is very critical, the ordering of the events is spot on. The only thing that is different is the ball touching the defender does not reset the offside line. It used to ages ago, but that law was changed nearly about 20 plus years ago. The defender must make a deliberate play on the ball in order to reset the off. He was not making a play on the ball. He was trying to get out of the way of the ball. That was a deflection. So therefore, that does not reset the offside line. The big question for me, and this is where I'm talking about the spirit of the game. Factually, the call was correct. Okay. I'm not disputing the accuracy of the offside call. I'm not. What I am disputing is, and I'm not even really disputing this, I wonder, does the game benefit from a microchip embedded in the ball making some kind of blip on something when to the naked eye, the ball does not change trajectory? The panels of the ball do not shift in any way measurable to the eye.
Yeah, it brushed him. Yeah.
It brushed his hair.
Yeah.
It's not even clear that it touched his body.
Okay, but then
unlike Viega,
yeah,
that ball changed trajectory. It clearly moved.
Okay.
I don't think the ball clearly moved off of that Croatian player. That is where I think the spirit of the game, because let's be honest, and sometimes the spirit of the game involves heartbreak. We get that, right? There's highs, there's lows. It's life. It's fine. But goddamn it, Croatia deserved to have that ball go in and play another 30 minutes. I'm sorry, the spirit of the game should have allowed that scrappy little nation of black and white checker wearing, folk, fanatics. By the way, I don't know if you saw, they kept focusing on this one Croatian woman who was spouting expletives like every lip reader. Nobody had to be a lip reader to know what she was saying. It was wow.
Yeah.
And they kept going back to her, and she kept coming up with new ones. I mean, she's my new spirit animal. I love her. I don't know. It's like, she's just like fantastic. I hope she gets a contract with somebody somewhere to just do that at every game. It was brilliant. But I that's all I'm saying. It was, for me, and everybody should know, I don't particularly care for Portugal, right? I mean, I have nothing wrong with, I love the country. I have nothing against the country, its people, or anything like that. But there's something about the Portuguese national team that rubs me the wrong way. Okay, fine. Maybe it's my own personal animosity towards Ronaldo. But I do think that what Portugal did, that header by Ramos, fantastic. They played well. They did their thing. And yeah, it wasn't a great game. And Croatia did well. There were 3 goals called back in that game.
Well, yeah.
Right?
The Ronaldo offside,
and I'm not saying that it's a conspiracy, because guess what? They were all the correct calls. Nothing about the refereeing there was wrong. But the spirit of the game got violated. Because when it's that type at the wire, sometimes I feel, dude, let it go. Play more and let it work out. But it didn't work. It didn't work out that way. So,
And so, I mean, I was looking at that and I was watching it with my son and I was like, this could be the last time that we see Ronaldo play in a World Cup. And
it's definitely the last time you'll see Modrić.
And then
you said goodbye to Modrić.
Then the second goal went in and I was like, this is probably the last time we see Modrić at a World Cup. And
you had to flip the name because one of the two wasn't coming back.
One of them was going, and that's the realities of knockout tournament football in this sense. But yeah, it certainly, I mean, what a career, what a player. I mean, that's obviously sort of, Ballon d'Or winner, multiple Champions League, finalist of the World Cup, semi-finalist as well. Incredible player.
And maybe that's also why the spirit of the game is dying a little bit, because some of these greats are leaving.
But so can I ask, so that you keep mentioning the spirit of the game, and then of course there's the rules of the game. So what you're saying is because it was like a last gasp effort, the referee should have, because the referee and the VAR team in that particular instance deployed the rules of the game, executed them perfectly, right?
Absolutely.
The rules, they applied them perfectly.
I get it.
Rules were followed, right?
Yeah.
But just for entertainment factors, just let them play on and have another 30 minutes. Is that?
Well, also ask yourself this. If that chip had not been in that ball, they would not have called that goal back. The only reason, no, I don't think they would have. I
Okay.
do not think that they would have looked at that and
Okay,
had any definitive evidence that the ball changed trajectory.
Yeah, okay, but that's fine. But even if it didn't touch his head, let's just say it didn't touch his head, even chip or no chip.
Then he was onside and the goal would have counted.
How would he have been onside? The 15 was like
because
way
when
off,
the initial ball was kicked, he was in an onside position. He ran into an offside position when the ball was in midair.
As it touched him, and that's when he played him offside. Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
Then it would have stood.
Yeah, okay.
That's why I'm saying because the ball may have grazed some part of him, but it didn't change direction. That's the point.
Okay.
That's why I think it's I mean, you're looking at a blip. You're looking at a computer-generated object as opposed to what you're seeing with your own eyes. That's what bothers me.
Got it. Yeah. Well,
that's all.
And rules of the game.
And don't get me started, because here's the funny thing is that up until this round of 32, and really the last 2 days, I have, and I'm not even saying that the officiating has suddenly taken a turn for the worse. There have been some bad officiating games. That's happened. It's fine.
In this round of 32, I can think of 3 separate instances. There was the Balogun red card, which was a shocker. That was a fault. Yeah. Okay.
Many more than that, but yes, sure.
But just in the last couple of days, just in sort of comes to memory, that Balogun red card, unfortunately, was not a red card. Yellow, maybe, yes, I'll accept red, but that was
agreed.
That's cruel. England, DR Congo, Harry Kane, was that penalty?
I believe that was a penalty. I think that was a miscall.
My favorite line of that, I was watching it on the road. Zlatan was like, Alexi Lalas just texted me to say that it was not a penalty. I'm going to block him because he doesn't know what he's talking about. Another knife in the back of Lalas.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the character. And then there was another couple of others as well. I'm just trying to think of a few others as well.
No, there was the penalty decision in Belgium, Senegal as well.
Yes.
Right now, I again, that's one that I didn't see in real time. I was driving to my because of the extra time. I was in the car driving to the U.S. men's watch party that I was going to, so I didn't get a chance to see that one. But I mean, I read a bunch of reports and I saw some images and all that, and I'm going, okay. What bothered me about that one was it took them 6 minutes to make the decision. If it's taking you 6 minutes, it's not a clear and obvious error, in my opinion, right? And I think that's one of those things where I go, spirit of the game, 118th minute of the game, let it play. Just let it play.
Yeah, it's that old adage.
Just get it, just get it, let it play.
Is it that adage, isn't it? If you're in doubt, there is no doubt, right? Is that?
Well, it makes me wonder and question, right? They've been doing all sorts of interesting rules about players for the spirit of the game, keeping the player, like make sure that the players get off the field fast, make sure they do their throw-ins quicker, make sure they're not wasting time. Well, maybe we have to think about something like that for VAR. Hello. You can't, if you're sitting there looking at the monitor and your watch goes off and you can't make a decision, you stick with the original decision on the field.
Yeah.
Done. Move on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those, again, I'm not saying it's wrong, because I'm not saying it's wrong, because I'm looking at everything and I go, no, they're the right calls. Even the red card, I can see why the red card was called. I have issues with, one, the manner in which that referee had that entire game was officiated poorly. He had very little control. There was all sorts of things happening that he was not stopping. He was not blowing whistles. There were shirt pulls that were patently obvious that he never even called infractions on.
Yeah, there were a few.
That he never even gave yellow cards for. He had very little control, and all of a sudden, he let that go. He was not going to do anything. And all of a sudden, somebody chirps in his ear, and he goes off, and next thing I know, a red card's being shown. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm like, where did that come from? And then, of course, then you get the inevitable comparisons of Messi versus this versus that. Now, the internet loves to do this shit. And I'm not saying that the context is the same, but I can tell you this. Messi clearly put his studs into a player's cap and raked down while looking at him. Balogun did it, and he was midair and not even looking at him.
Yeah.
I don't understand how they can. It's not the same thing.
As a Messi super fan, I think we can all agree that Messi certainly is in the MLS, is certainly getting a little bit of preferential treatment, isn't he? He definitely gets a little bit of preferential treatment. He gets away with it, right? He gets fouls called on him a bit easier as well, and then he does get sort of like let away with.
But this isn't the MLS.
Yes, but it's still. But he's Messi. He is. He is.
No, he's Messi. I understand that element. Sure. but this isn't the MLS, and they should know better on that one. And they didn't do it. And I think that's the thing that I find the most disappointing was the two-sided factor of it. And also the fact that there is no appeal. A direct red card, regardless of whether it is given in error or not, is unappealable.
Yeah,
and
Balogun,
stop.
of course, you're talking about, which is a shame because that could kill his World Cup, right? Because if the US get knocked out by,
could kill his World Cup.
That's his World Cup over. And either way,
and I understand. And again,
revelation. He has been an absolute revelation. He really is.
I get why they do this, right? As a referee, you can't have every single thing you do be questioned and all that. I get it. They have to be able to function as in their role without worry that everything that they do is going to get dissected and then reanalyzed. And it's like they do that already. And I can guarantee, I don't think we are going to see Klaus at another game in this world.
Oh, you think the refereeing body will pause it, will put him in that stage?
I think they should. Based on what he did in that game. I think if you go back and you objectively look at that game, there were many questionable things that he did. And I think if you go back and you look at the Spain game that he did earlier, you might find that there's a general pattern in the way that he officiates games.
What country is he from? Where is he from?
He's Brazilian.
He's Brazilian. Okay, so
it's not that they don't they don't care. The referees don't care.
The bias, but I think there's definitely sort of like a level of refereeing, right? I've noticed that, for example, you have some, as an example, right, Qatari referees, right? The level that the Qatari referees referee at in their domestic leagues is eons, is leagues away, right? It's leagues away.
You're allowed to say that. We get it. Yeah,
no,
professionals.
But level, but then all of a sudden you get thrown into suddenly like a whole other level in terms of sort of pace, speed, sort of, just attention level, atmosphere, microscopic sort of level of sort of scrutiny. It definitely probably is a little bit challenging. But anyway.
It can be, but I mean, these are the elite of the elite. They don't just do their domestic leagues. They travel, they do these types of games all over the place. And there's a higher level of scrutiny and there's a higher level of this or that, but it's, I don't think you're going to see Klaus. And I wonder whether or not you're going to see that same VAR guy. Because that was another one. Again, he saw what he saw. He made the point. Klaus, if he had really any cojones, right, could have just said, I'm going to give him a yellow and not worry about it. But he didn't. And so, so there's a failure somewhere in that, because it's like, you should be able to also, again, spirit of the game. Balogun had no. I mean, now interestingly, that the Qatari defender who broke, right, the midfielder who broke the Canadian player Kone's leg, he actually received a 5-game suspension.
Wow,
they upped his suspension from 3 to 5 upon looking back at it because of the severity of the injury. It had nothing to do with intent. The player did not intend to hit him. Right. I mean, he intended to hit him. He didn't intend to break his leg. He recognized afterwards and was despondent at the action, that the consequences of his action went that far. But he got a 5-game suspension. I didn't hear anybody complain about it. I certainly don't think he complained about it. Right. He understood the gravity of the situation there. Yeah. What Balogun did in that scenario.
Yeah. It
wasn't similar, but it was very much like, I'm going for the ball. They were all going for the ball. That game was very physical. And to suddenly give when there had been, I don't think there'd been any yellow cards up to that point. It made no sense.
Yeah, but also as well, like Balogun and the US, they were leading at the time. So it's not like he was frustrated and angry and lashing out or anything like that as well. So they were winning. They were leading 1-0 at the time. So he was
just going for the ball midair with another player and he landed on him. You shouldn't get thrown out of a game for that. You just shouldn't.
Anyway, okay. Well, I know we can debate sort of the calls all day long. So let's look forward.
But then again, right? But that's the other, and that's a funny thing. Just a little aside. Everybody, of course, I was at this big watch party and people were losing their minds and all that. And I thought to myself at the end of the game, what had happened if Balogun had not been sent off, but they hadn't won? Because there's certain moments sometimes in the game that look devastating and awful up front, but they galvanize the team and they galvanize, it's like, I think the U.S. men's national team is probably more focused, more driven, and definitely a lot more fired up.
Yeah.
Because they don't have Balogun and they know that they feel there's an injustice that went on there.
Yeah. Yeah. And so,
I don't even want to talk about, I don't even want to get into the whole racial end of it too. because there's always that inside officiating.
No. I wasn't thinking about that.
No, it's there. If you look historically, that's always been a subtext.
Okay.
I'm not saying that it happened here by any means, and I don't think that it did. But you do look, when you look back historically at cards given, disproportionately, they're always towards players of African descent. Always.
Okay.
Always. So that is just something that people have to understand. There is implicit bias in a lot of these things that happen. So but that aside, the U.S. men's national team might be stronger for this in a weird sort of way. Yes, on the field they're going to miss him.
Yeah,
but they also played. But they also played a game without him, and they scored.
Yeah, and Pepe knows he's starting, so they can also sort of work and develop.
Now you focus on him.
Yeah.
You give him what he needs. You give him the support. You pump him up, and you go, "All right, Pepe, you're our guy. Make it happen." Right? Zendejas is going to be sitting in the wings, going, "I might get a few minutes. I'm going to get all fired up." So this tragedy, in a sense, creates opportunity for others. And I don't think, while it hurts the U.S. men's national team in a way, I think it also strengthens them in another strange way and might make them a little bit more resilient. And I think the fact that they're playing Belgium and not Senegal is a benefit.
I think Well, should we get into the bracketology and just sort of look at the pathways and sort of how this could shape out? Right?
Let's do it.
No, I mean, there's still obviously a round of games. I think, like, just quickly, just touching on them. Australia, Egypt.
But no, let's talk about the ones that we know are happening. Right?
Yeah.
Let's focus on games that we know are confirmed.
Paraguay, France, and then Canada, Morocco on the other side. I think is fair. I mean, France. I know I wasn't there. Sort of. I was in. I just watched. We went to go and watch the Norway game. I was in Norway. Who did I see?
Ivory Coast.
Ivory Coast as well, which was actually a really, really fun game to go and see at AT&T Stadium. I was at that game, and then afterwards we went to go and watch the France game. France are frightening. France is frightening.
Terrifying.
We only won 3-0. Like, they could, honestly, and I'm not trying to sort of be hyperbolic or sort of exaggerate here. I'm trying to think of a better international team that there has been. I mean, there's probably been sort of a couple of Brazilian teams in the sort of 70s when there was sort of true sort of football. That sort of, that Brazil 2002 side was pretty sort of stacked as well. But I mean, this French team has to be up there with one of the greatest international World Cup teams there are, because they are incredible.
And if they win it, they will be put into they will be placed upon that pedestal.
That French team.
And I believe it will be appropriate. They are undoubtedly, for what I've seen in the 4 games, they have been the best team.
Yeah, they've just,
outside of that first half against Senegal.
Yeah.
Where they were not good. They were disjointed, but it didn't hurt them.
Warmed up, yeah, exactly. And they still won. Was it 3? They won 3-1 or something like that, didn't they? 4-1.
Yeah, they still won 3-1.
Yeah,
but
so I think Paraguay, France. All I would say is, people of Paraguay, good luck. Just good luck.
Listen, Paraguay has played the most depressing, boring harem ball ever, and did very good at it. And kudos to them. Seriously.
Well,
they are a team that understands its role. They are the bad guys. They are the spoilers. They are the ones that suck the life out of the game in order to just extract whatever it is. They're the black widows of the game right now.
The game they're going to have to play.
Fine. There has to be teams that do this, and that's their role. That's their job. Good for them.
Yeah.
Good for them. Because that coach that's a masterclass of coaching.
Paraguay getting to the round of 32 or round of 16 has been...
Paraguay getting to the round of 16 is those words alone.
Yeah, well, considering
are a
how
travesty.
They capitulated against the US in their very first game as well. That they just rolled over completely, or the US just steamrolled them. It's like, and to say that team will be in the round of 16, you'd be like, not a chance. But I think their tournament ends tomorrow. And then going through, then you've got Canada, Morocco. Morocco, like, for what they are, I think, Morocco semi-finalists last time. They are probably the best team in Africa. There's been a few quarters, I would say, maybe, where they've been like, okay, now they look interesting.
They have,
yeah. But aside from that, they've been a little bit underwhelming, I have to say. They have been a little bit underwhelming. I don't think, though, Canada have much of a chance, to be honest, against them. I think you're probably going to see France, Morocco in the quarterfinals, and that's don't think I'm sort of saying anything controversial.
No, you're not saying anything. Yeah. No, you're not saying anything controversial. I think Canada probably have a better chance. I think Canada actually have a better chance than you think they do.
There's possibility of an upset. They're not playing.
But I also have to say that I don't think Morocco have gotten into their full gear yet, right?
Yeah.
They just have not had a total game. But if they don't have a total game against Canada,
they have a chance.
They could be going home.
Canada have a chance. Yeah.
Canada, listen, they're a host nation, and we know about the host nation thing. They've already hit I think they've already hit effectively what they came out to achieve. They made it to a round of 16.
That's incredible.
That was what they really needed to do. They did it.
They really.
But now they're suddenly thinking bigger, grander.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing is they're not playing in Canada, which is unfortunate. I know they are playing at. They're playing in NRG Houston. They're playing at Houston.
Be a terrible thing.
Yeah,
that might not be a terrible thing.
There'll be more Canadians there than Moroccans, I suspect. Right, the Canadians will come descend upon Houston and take over that stadium.
Maybe. Again, I don't necessarily. I was thinking the same way as you, but I watched them play. I watched the crowd. I went, might be a little easier on them in some cases, right? I'm not talking about the Tottenham Hotspur thing, like how they hate playing at home. I don't think Canada has that at all. But sometimes it's just nicer to play without that pressure cooker atmosphere.
Maybe, yeah.
So we'll see.
Yep. By the way, I was obviously at the NRG Stadium because I also saw the Brazil-Japan game, and both of those stadiums. I've never really been to a stadium where an indoor sort of arena stadium before with the roof on and the air conditioning. Atmosphere was fantastic, absolutely incredible. Good. So it's going to be fun. Okay, going through, and then those games are tomorrow, and then just on that side of the brackets as well, then we have Portugal, Spain.
Which is the only positive that came out of Croatia's crushing loss is the fact that we get to see Portugal play Spain, which I love.
Yeah, it's great. It's a good matchup. And again, Spain I would probably put in the same category as Morocco. Is like they just haven't just been firing on all cylinders. Maybe they're taking their time and easing themselves into this tournament. They've got through comfortably. I think they've had a pretty comfortable sort of route. 3-0 against Austria, fine. But Portugal, I feel like Portugal were probably sort of playing to their limit yesterday against Croatia, and I don't think they're going to have enough to get over Spain. But again, the old rivalry there.
Yeah, I disagree with you about Spain. I actually think Spain are doing exactly what they want to do. They haven't conceded a goal.
It's true. This is true.
So, I mean, you cannot in any way say that they haven't hit full gear. Oh, they have. Defensively, they are on fire.
Fair.
What you're talking about is their attack. And you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
But think about this. At this stage in the tournament, I'd rather have a defense that's not conceding goals than have an offense that's just firing on all cylinders, because nobody else can get through.
Yeah. Fair.
So, sure. And they're doing just what they need to do. I actually, I look at what they're, France is wonderful. It's brilliant. But part of what makes France so much fun is the fact that they are vulnerable. You can get to France.
You can score again.
You cannot get to Spain.
Yeah.
You cannot get to Spain.
Okay. No, that's a good way.
Cubarsí is playing the best soccer of any player defensively out there. Not doing it in a flashy way, not doing it just quietly shutting everything down. He's 22 years old, for Christ's sake, and he's owning the pitch, right? And everything about what he's doing is great. And if you had looked at the way Barcelona had played with Cubarsí in it, you would not have said that he would have such an effective World Cup. But he's being used slightly different by De La Fuente, and he's being used very effectively by De La Fuente, which shows De La Fuente knows what he's doing. Right? It's smart. He's a smart guy, and he's coaching this team brilliantly. So I think they, now the best part is there's going to be a clash, and it could very well be a Spain-France clash before going into the final.
So
we get some real bangers coming up.
Swashbuckling attack against obviously a sort of immovable defense, and now let's see if they can get at it and unlock them. Yeah. Yes. Okay, we've got USA, Belgium. I think we covered that one as well. That will be an exciting one. Obviously, Sans Balogun, unfortunately, but yeah, we'll go there. This for me is probably the second biggest game that I'm looking forward to. This Brazil-Norway game is going to be good. Now,
so very different styles.
I've saw both of these games now as well. I have to say, Brazil. I know they got through against Japan. Brazil. This has to be sort of one of the most sort of underwhelming Brazil teams in my lifetime that I've ever seen. Right, Brazil have always sort of turned up and been like the ones to watch, the Samba boys, sort of that sort of Yoga Benito, all that stuff. They've not been that great. And when I was at that Japan game, I tell you what, we were just behind the bench. Ancelotti, I've never seen Ancelotti look so anxious and concerned. And all of a sudden, he sort of had this image of being run out of Brazil and 300 million Brazilians turning on him. Because can you imagine if Japan actually got one over and knocked Brazil out in a round of 32? I think that would have probably been
that'd have been a lot to answer for.
That would have been Brazil's worst ever performance in a World Cup. I don't know if they've ever not. I imagine they've always done pretty well, but yeah, that was looking good. Norway, by the way, Norway are okay, but except for Haaland is obviously the big figure, right? And he sort of takes them through. I think Brazil probably should have enough to get them through. But if Haaland can bang a few in here and actually sort of give Norway a chance, I think it's going to be a tight game and an entertaining one for sure.
I think that, in my opinion, when I watch Brazil play, I think I'm seeing Italy. They're not. Yeah. They're just not.
Yeah, it's a Champions
League.
Fine.
Team. Listen, Ancelotti could, again, he's a master. He does this, but he's old fashioned. He's old school. There's nothing wrong with that. But I agree with you. I don't think this Brazil team is particularly deep. I don't think they're particularly talented. And Norway is at least young, vibrant, attacking, passionate. They've got all the cards.
Yeah, they're on the upswing, right? They're on the upswing.
They're a team that is on the ascendancy, and Brazil is just going on a slow decline unless they can get some new kids in, right?
And here's another way to think about it, right? Brazil traditionally have always been obviously sort of the Brazilian style. They played the Brazilian way because they are Brazilian. Most of them would play. Some of the mega stars would go to Europe, but generally, like when you go and see a Brazil team, they're like, who's that player? They play for Palmeiras, they play for Fluminense, and necessarily not players that you know so much. Now, pretty much most of the players are playing in Europe and playing European style, playing for the Champions League, and now they have a European coach. And so, as you mentioned, they play like Italy. They play like a sort of a Champions League team. I know we've mentioned this before, but yeah, that's sort of my sense here is they are playing like a Champions League team. Okay, then the big one.
Yeah, there's only 23% of the Brazilian national team play in Brazil,
and of those 23%. Well, I imagine a lot of them are squad players rather than actual starters, right? There's a couple of starters.
Probably. Yeah, I'd say that could be the case. Absolutely. Yeah.
By the way, Endrick looked very good when he came on at the beginning of the second half as well. He was
nobody knows why he's not playing Endrick. I mean, that's
Yeah, Cunha as well. He's not a Brazilian striker. He's a Premier League striker, and I would start Endrick if I was Ancelotti. But
although I'll be honest, I mean, listen, Vinny's doing good. Right. And I think right now that's the entire future of that team relies on Vinny and Cunha to some extent, because I mean, the two of them are scoring all the goals. So it's so heavily dependent on individuals, which is going to make this game so interesting because Norway's kind of the same. They're very, very heavily dependent on Haaland, if not actually to score the goals, then to distract the defense to give somebody else a chance to score the goals. So, yeah, but I think I think it could actually be a fun game because you're going to be seeing two different sides. It should hopefully be end-to-end, just
spectacle.
Rapid speed, long crosses, crazy stuff. But if Brazil try to play a high line and they get those two slow midfielders trapped in somewhere, if Norway can break through that, one little through ball, Haaland's out.
Yeah.
Gabriel or Marquinhos have to do a tackle. They get a red card. So much can happen. Could be just wide open.
Mexico, England.
After that,
and everything, and you look at the statistics and everything around it as well. Here is my shocking prediction. Mexico win this one. I think Mexico is
I agree.
I think there just feels like there's just too much in favor of the Mexicans. Both the altitude, the Azteca.
I know.
Never having lost at home. There's all of that. The home fans. And then the other thing, like even Thomas Tuchel was saying as well, we are going to be at a disadvantage because of the altitude. And then the other thing as well is, I don't know if, I think we shared this on our group chat, and I think some of the socials have been shared as well. Obviously, you saw all of the Mexican fans outside of the Ecuadorian hotel in Mexico.
Yeah, they banging, they're lighting firecrackers, banging drums and
car horns and those kind of things. And to be honest, Ecuador looked half asleep. I mean, I've seen like when my son plays, and you've seen this when they just don't get a good night's sleep. They're just not there. They're just sort of a bit. Ecuador looked like that. I think England are not going to get through Mexico, and I think Mexico are going to shock here. I think Mexico get through and it goes nuts. That is my prediction. And the only thing I can hope of is Tuchel learns his lesson against DR Congo. By the way, DR Congo are very organized, very, very impressive.
I thought DR Congo played a perfectly fine game, but in the end,
traditional deer in headlights sort of tournament football. They're stale, they're slow, can't move the ball quickly enough, and then finally they found a way back.
But they woke up towards the second half. They did their business. They did what they needed to do. But yeah, I think it's clear that he could be tweaking his lineup, put some other people in, and Yeah, I know everybody talks about the altitude, and I recognize that altitude is a real thing. But to just sometimes you just got to shut your mouth and do your job.
Just go, yeah.
And I do, and I also think there was he did raise an interesting point. They asked FIFA if they could stay in Kansas City and fly in the day of the game to minimize their amount. FIFA said no. And I think that's a mistake. They should be recognizing that when there's altitude like that, teams should have a little bit of leeway to control when they come in and they do that stuff. Because the reason that they said no was because they said, no, it's a rule. You have to train in a FIFA facility within a certain amount of the stadium. That's bullshit. And the media stuff, that's bullshit. You don't have to do that.
So
they shouldn't be forced
to
have to go in and do something like that.
As long as you turn up on time and be there to play, you should be able to play, right?
Particularly when they know that there's been fan interference with the hotels and all that stuff. They should allow teams to be able to control that, because without it, you're just giving the teams an excuse to bitch. And I'm sorry, and there's no disrespect to the English. Boy, do y'all like to complain.
Yeah. Oh, when it's not good. Well,
when things don't go your way, you make it known.
Particularly as the if the results don't go your way. And again, I will say this: Tuchel in that second half against DR Congo, similar to Ancelotti, was fearing.
He was very anxious.
You could see that, like, he knew what was coming. You knew that he was going to be marched out of England and never welcome back ever again.
Well, no, he probably lost at least a pound in nervous sweat. The guy's too skinny to be losing weight. He needs, dude, come on.
It is very stressful, yeah.
But yeah.
And that I mean, that could wins too. But I mean, you could have a Brazil-England round of a quarterfinal, which could be interesting. You could have a Norway-Mexico quarterfinal, which also could be very interesting as well, right?
And here's the other thing, right? Mexico is the other team that has not conceded a goal.
I know that was
there's a lot, and there's a lot of people who would be like, "Oh, that's because they're playing Azteca." No, that's not because they're playing Azteca. It's because Raul Rangel is playing out of his skin. That guy is he has been doing incredible stuff. I also think that Mexico hasn't quite hit their form, but they do just enough. They're doing just enough to get it done. Quinones has been great. He's probably, while his stats might not show it, I think he's one of the players of the tournament, hands down, right? Raul Jimenez is hitting the goals that he needs to hit. They're doing just fine. And I think they're going to do better than just fine against England. I think they're going to slow them down. I think they're going to get some goals. And if Lincoln gets behind, they're not coming back at the Azteca. It's not going to happen.
And the altitude, as I say, this is where I fear that this is England's tournament. This is the last round.
I'm not even saying that the altitude's going to be a factor. They're just going to lose.
Yeah, they're just going to get beaten, right? This is England tournament football, right? This is it. Argentina are playing Cape Verde today.
Yeah, I think everybody knows where that's going.
Well, of course, but Argentina have the easiest pathway through to the final, don't they?
Yes,
I mean, just looking at that bracket that they have, I mean, the only one who could potentially put up a little bit of a challenge against them is maybe Colombia. And that's a replay of the Copa America final.
This is where I'm going to, you didn't see the game, but this is where I'm seeing something happen in Switzerland, and it's really interesting.
Okay.
I think Switzerland there is a potential that Switzerland could go very far.
Get past what you think Switzerland could beat Ghana or Colombia, who play today, probably Colombia, but although actually that's a really close game. Actually, I don't know.
The Ghana-Colombia game is a coin toss.
Really good matchup.
It's a really good matchup.
Yeah,
I favor Colombia. I think they're going to do it.
Okay,
got to have a yellow shirt somewhere in the quarterfinals, man. It's just not right if you don't.
Yeah,
but I don't know, man. I've watched Switzerland over all their games, and I am continuously impressed. This is a team that people don't know about. This is a team that people don't think about. You hear the word Switzerland, and your mind turns off. It's like it just flips a switch. They are not like that, though. They don't play like that. They're strong, they're vibrant. And this guy, Johan Manzambi, again, I think player of the tournament out of nowhere. He has sparked that team. It was his effort that led to that first goal, right? He's running his ass off down to that touchline and keeps it in, and like that's what separates. And they have it. They've got some really, really good players.
Wow.
And they have a really cohesive team spirit.
You're right.
And I do think
3 goals, 2 assists. He's 20 years of age. He's that's true.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I think that of all the teams that Argentina could play, that's the one they don't want to play.
Okay.
They really don't.
Well,
and
we'll
I think and we'll wait and see what happens. But they just owned Algeria.
Yeah.
Algeria never even had a chance.
Yeah. Well, Algeria, that's fair.
No, and Algeria aren't half bad, but they just never even got out of second gear, and they were spinning donuts around them.
Do we think today Vozinha has a chance of upsetting Messi, or do you think Messi just funny puts the ball
I think
in?
Vozinha has a chance of upsetting Messi once, maybe twice, but I don't think in the end it's going to happen. By the way, if it does, if there is even if they take him to extra time, they've
overperformed. They've over-delivered already.
No, this is a team that has won. People now know where Capo Verde is on a map. Yes. Seriously.
And they know who Vozinha is as well, right? It's been wonderful.
They know Vozinha's mom, and they might not know anybody else, and nobody cares because that whole team has so overachieved, as you say. Anything that happens right now is gravy, right? Just the prize money they get for making it into this one stage for their national efforts, right, at soccer promotion is gigantic.
Yeah.
So kudos to them. I just would love to see a good game, and hopefully Argentina will be respectful, right? If it does go their way, that they don't do what Germany did against Curacao. And no disrespect to Germany, they had every right to do that, and so does Argentina. But they might, you can.
It's true. The one thing I'll say about Argentina, they do look very good. This was on our travels. We stayed with some friends, and a friend of mine said this to me, and I think he said it very, very well, which is, unlike Portugal and Ronaldo, the whole of Argentina, the team and the squad, get behind Messi and the idea, and they recognize that he is the GOAT, and basically they sort of treat him as their Achilles, right? He is their warrior, and basically anything that he does, they support him and they get around him, and that is, it really is sort of magical to see. And I'm not saying everything goes through Messi, but it generally obviously scores most of the goals.
Yes, it does.
No, but
and it's not a problem because he's delivering.
Yeah,
it's not a problem because if it wasn't happening, he wouldn't be sulking. If it wasn't happening, he'd be there cheerleading just as much as anybody else. He loves to be the center of attention. There's no denying that. But he also knows that it's not just about him.
For the play, right? He wants to be the center of attention for playing well, not just because of sort of who his aura and his ego is. I think that's unlike Ronaldo.
Well, exactly. I do generally believe that while all great players are inherent narcissists, because they have to be, there's a level and a degree of it. He also recognizes that if he couldn't do it, if he couldn't bring it, he'd take himself out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did that for the third game, for the group game, isn't it? For the third group game.
He knew. Well, also, there's the reality also of his age, and he knows, and he's like, he gets it.
Done it. Yeah. Let someone else have a go. We're good. We're through. Fine. And then he still comes on and scores as well, and still competes and still.
And you could see that here. If he gets 2 goals in the first half and they're up 4-0 at halftime, they might pull him off.
Bring on Alvarez and bring on the kids and give him a
because guess what? There's a universe in which he's not eligible to play. And he knows that other people need to have time to get synchronized, to get, he knows that deep down. He doesn't like it, but he knows it.
Well, they play again in 4 days and then another 4 days as well. So that's still just, and so that's where they need to manage themselves for sure. Because this is where suddenly they start coming thick and fast in the games.
It's crunch time, baby. Right? Yeah, absolutely. Indeed.
Wonderful. Well, that's 45 minutes. That's a full half of football Hooligan. Yeah,
I think the fourth official has indicated no extra time.
Wonderful. Hooligan, as always, good fun. Until tomorrow.
Peace.